So I've wanted to make this video for a while now. It has been well over a year since this poll happened, but I've been waiting for something. Something that arrived very recently. I rigged the election. Yes, I'm admitting to it publicly. Probably not a good idea, because it's all my fault. It is all my fault that Whoopslap is now one of the most well-known characters in all of One Piece. I apologize. I promise I won't do it again, but this is a wild story. Starting at the kind of beginning, back in the early days of 2021, Shueisha, the publisher of One Piece, announced a global popularity poll. Now, popularity polls, they're nothing new. Shueisha does these all the time for most series and Weekly Shonen Jump, but it usually consists of exclusively Japanese fans mailing in votes that are then counted, assumedly by hands and eyes. Now, if you were born after the year 2000, then you're probably very unfamiliar with the concept of physical mail, but that's irrelevant because in 2021, Shueisha decided to take a different approach to polling. With the global One Piece boom, Shueisha announced that for the very first time, the next One Piece popularity poll would be conducted both internationally and digitally. This was very exciting because for the first time, the whole world had the opportunity to voice their opinions on fictional pirates. The voting system was also changed up. Instead of mailing in one vote, you could vote once per day over a period of 2 months. That's important for reasons that I'll explain later. But there were over 1,000 characters to choose from. If a character had a name in One Piece, then they were given an option to vote. And if they didn't have names, then they were given names on the spot and still given the option to vote for them. So a true effort was made to ensure that every character was accessible and eligible all around the world. But with that in mind, I decided to do a thing. Because voices, I think they're great and all, but I don't think my voice would be heard if I just gave a standard vote. Full disclosure, my favorite One Piece character is of course Zoro, which makes me pretty much exactly the same as all of the people in the world. I mean, voting for either Luffy, Zoro, or Sanji would have, in my opinion, been a bit pointless, because they were practically guaranteed top 5 finishes no matter where in the world we're examining, and to me, that is not being heard. It's more like communal shouting for a pop star at a concert. Everyone's doing the same thing, whereas what I was looking for was a more empirical way of knowing that Western fans could have an impact. So here's my idea. I decided that every day for the whole 2 months, I was going to give my vote to Whoopslap. Why Whoopslap? Because he deserves it. He's been in the series since the very first chapter, and yet somehow he gets even less recognition than the random bandits Lucky Roo violently kill-murdered in our fun family pirate manga. Quite frankly, it's not fair. But it also made Whoopslap the perfect control subject, because realistically, no one was going to vote for him over the 1,000 other characters available. So I made my intentions clear in a video and invited people to join me on this Whoopslapian crusade to see if we could actually make an impact. Back then, Grand Line Review was not as big as it is now, but it was sizable enough, as I would go on to discover. But I also want to make this very clear. I announced the plan in one video, and then I left it alone. This wasn't something that I relentlessly campaigned for, but it also didn't take very long to discover that I was definitely not the only one with this idea. People very quickly realized the power they had, because one of the really cool aspects of the poll was it showed the daily top ranking characters, meaning those who had received the top 3 most votes in the last 24 hours. So there were a lot of short burst campaigns to influence these daily rankings, many of which I absolutely loved. Because we started out fairly standard, you know, your top 3s were your Luffy's, your Zoros, your Sanjay's, and maybe another Straw Hat, taking the top 3 daily for the first few days, but then things very quickly morphed into online shenaniganry. Roger's Base, for example, had a campaign to give Big News Morgans the top position on one day. Meanwhile, my favorite short burst campaign was the one day where an effort was made to place St. Charlos, St. Roswart, and St. Shalria in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, sort of like a World Noble takeover, which is what they did in the series. However, Whoopslap never made an appearance in these daily top 3s, which told me that I was probably the only one voting for him. But as it turns out, I was very wrong. 1 month after voting, Shueisha held a special midterm livestream announcement to give us the results thus far. And to my shock and delight, even though he never received a critical mass of votes on any given day, Whoopslap had been slowly accruing votes in the background, and it resulted in him being preliminarily ranked 27th out of 1,000 characters. And I was just floored by this. As was the host of the livestream, actually. They've privated the stream now, so I can't show it to you, but the host said the name Whoopslap and he didn't even know who the character was. There was great confusion, followed by great celebration. This is how you celebrate. Because this was an unexpected and exciting story. And not at all an unfamiliar one for the Japanese audience, because even with the mail-in system, there were always campaigns to push meme candidates. Quite famously, there was a push to vote for Farafra in the 6th popularity poll, where he claimed 47th place above characters like Fujitora and Dragon. I say that because a common criticism I've heard is that this is very disrespectful to Japan. And yeah, but nah. Japan has a sense of humor just like every other country. But also, So I wasn't the only one with this extended campaign in mind. During the midterm results, another shock candidate was Olympus in 61st place out of 1,000 characters, which was coordinated by a Russian YouTuber named Sadbag, who had created something of a cult surrounding Olympus's daily routine depicted in the Grand Fleet cover story. So fun fact, I did actually get in touch with Sadbag to ask him about the Olympus story, but he just replied to me saying that he doesn't really speak English, that's how he spelled it, and that all of my questions could be answered simply by rereading the Olympus cover story. Furthermore, there was also an extended campaign to vote for Namul, one of the Whitebeard commanders. Although sadly, I've never been able to discover where this came from. All I know is that during the midterm results, he was in 57th place, so there was a big effort here. So another common criticism this act received is that we were ruining the integrity of the poll and that Shueisha is going to be very upset with us. And that's true. They were so upset that after the midterm results, they published an ad for the poll in Weekly Shonen Jump featuring both Olympus and Whoop Slap as selling features. Whoop Slap here looking particularly amazing and fearsome, if I do say so myself. So they were loving it, and this is one of those situations where a few people were getting upset on behalf of other people who weren't actually upset. Welcome to the internet. However, this did start to concern me. Whether it was warranted or not, people were getting very serious and defensive about this online popularity poll for comic book pirates. I don't say that to diminish the series, One Piece is my life, but I do say it to emphasize that it's not like we were electing a president. In fact, the reason why I've probably named this video something like I rigged the election is because that's what people were quite literally accusing me of. And so I decided to take even more of a step back than I already did. I thanked people in a community post, encouraged them to vote for good old Whoop Slap one last time, and if not, just vote for whoever they wanted to. And I didn't say another word about this until the end of the poll. Because at this point, I was genuinely afraid of what might happen if Whoop Slap cracked the top 10. But also at the same time, my mission was already complete. What I wanted to know is if Western fans could make their voices heard. And the answer was an astounding yes. And at this point, Whoop Slap was going to be in the top 100 no matter what, so I didn't need to do anything else. My point was made, and I just let the next month casually pass by. And then the day arrived, and the final result was everything I could have wished for and more. When the final top 100 were announced, Olympus secured 78th place, Namul made it to 71st, and Whoop Slap was forever enstoned in the mighty 37th place. 37th is amazing. Because it was high, yes, but it wasn't high enough to annoy anybody. It's not like he cracked the top 10 and beat a bunch of straw hats. But then everything got so much better. Series author Eiichiro Oda published a letter thanking people for voting and went on to state, "I heard that there seemed to be some movements online organized by fans to come together to cast votes for unexpected characters. That didn't get past the production team." And then there's a laugh. That's a bad laugh. Ha! You know, we're going to skip the laugh. Which is obviously referring to Whoop Slap, Olympus, and Namul. But he also went on to say that he would create a color spread featuring the top 50 characters of the poll. And I was like, Whoop Slap is going to be in a color spread. Whoop Slap! And true to his word, Oda did it. He created this phenomenal artwork, and right there, sitting on top of the Going Merry, is 37th place finisher Whoop Slap. And this is so perfect, it's so surreal, it's exactly what I wanted out of this. As an international fan base, we managed to make a mark on One Piece, and a completely non-destructive mark, mind you. Most people looking at this color spread would never even notice that Whoop Slap is there. But this drawing of Whoop Slap is a direct result of our voices, which you cannot say for literally any other character. It's impossible to know just how much of a difference your voice made if you gave your vote to the Luffy, the Zoro, and the Sanjay, but I know exactly how much of a difference our votes made. And if anyone's wondering, the character Whoop Slap took the spot of in the top 50 would have been Pell, who ended up ranking in 51st position. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that Pell being in the top 50 would have changed absolutely nothing about the series, our lives, or the world in general. But Whoop Slap being in the top 50 gave us that tiny little piece of acknowledgement. Oh, and it also gave us one more thing. So I've wanted to make this video for a while now. It has been well over a year since this poll happened, but I've been waiting for something. Something that arrived very recently. Today, in fact, it's that recent. Because as it turns out, a special line of figures was made of every character who got into the top 50. That's right, they made a Whoop Slap figure. They made him in the very last batch, and they paired him with Roger and Whitebeard, so the people had to buy him to get the cool characters, but they made it. They made a Whoop Slap figure. And I'm going to unbox it for you live on video in celebration, because this is a victory for all of us. Oh, I am so excited. So excited. Ho, 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 ho. That was anticlimactic. Look at him. Look. Mayor of Syrup Village. All right, let's ruin it by taking it out of the plastic. Because he's lying flat, he can't actually sit on the stand, so it's just completely flat. And there he is. I will show you. The mayor of Fuchsia Village. Whoop slap. Majestic, isn't he? I wish I had like a macro lens set up to actually do a proper unboxing, but I never do this sort of thing. But rest assured, he is amazing. Not only that, but obviously because Whoop Slap was on the Merry, he actually comes also with the Going Merry. That sounds filthy. The Going Merry is also part of the same package as Whoop Slap, which is significantly more well packed actually. Holy crap, how do I open this? Ah, it's got tape on the side, I see. Actually, let me just show this. On the side, you can actually see the part of the color spread that features Whoop Slap. Like this is the Merry one, and it's still Whoop Slap. It's like a double dose of slappy goodness there. Open, why the tape? It's so notoriously bad at opening things. Box. Oh, the box. Feels so heavy. All right. Oh my god, the Merry head is huge! Whoa! It's massive. One of its little horns is missing. Again, it comes with a base plate that you can't put it on, but... Alright. So that goes like that. Guess couldn't fit in the box that way. Let me get a beautiful, beautiful close-up of this shit happening. This is the Merry. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the crowning moment. Ah, Whoop Slap on the Merry. It's beautiful. Ah! It's not beautiful anymore. He fell. He's very slippery. Slippery slapper. I never thought I'd say this, but this piece of resin would not exist without your votes. Absolutely no one else can say that. And I'm very proud of what we managed to do. Would I do it again though? No, because there's no need, because I know the answer to my question now. And thanks to each and every one of you who joined me on this wonderful Whoop Slappian journey.